My name's Shawn Foster, and I'm Technical Director at Purcell Radio. We're going to talk about delivery of task management into ED departments today. It's something that we've got quite a bit of experience with over the years, and we're just going to try and impart some of that and give you some ideas about how to make it work and how to make it as smooth and seamless as possible. So we have been doing this since 1999. We supply task management systems to 30 or 40 hospitals throughout the country, and we're very familiar with working with different trusts, and we are looking at trying to give you the right information to make an ED department work for you. We are certified for ISO, Cyber Essentials, and we've got a lot of close relationships with our trusts. We've been working with them for a long time, so we understand what the requirements are for the different ED departments and the problems that you encounter. And we also understand that every trust is different, so there will always be different processes that need to be understood so that you're able to give the ED people what they need. So we work with a large number of large trusts. We go from smaller trusts all the way up to some quite large ones. We deal with both our task management solutions. We offer auditing solutions, and we also offer location tracking information. So one of the benefits of task management is maximising your resources. So if you've got 50 porters and you have an ED department that is taking 10 of those porters, and for a good portion of their day they are sat not doing something, you really want them to be able to be pulled into a greater pool of porters. And when the ED department's really busy, you're going to want to take from that pool and give extra resources into ED. And we want to simplify the process of requesting tasks for the ED department. We want to make that as simple as possible, and that's where you want really good engagement with ED to find out what they want, how they work, and you want to get them on board with your goals as well as helping them look after the patients. So it's important to speak with them. So there are a number of challenges we've encountered with deploying systems into ED. The number one is getting the clinical staff on board. You want to address their concerns, so you certainly want to up front say this is what we want to do. We want to start to record all of the work that's happening here for the porters or for the cleaners, and we want to do this for all the right reasons. We're trying to make things work better for you, and we're trying to make things work better for the hospital in general. So one of their concerns will be around taking away their time from their core job, which is to look after the people who are coming in the front door, who are injured, who might have whatever medical condition they've arrived at ED for. And what you've got to do is you've got to convince them that the system is not going to take away their time for looking after patients. In fact, you want them to have more time to look after their patients. You want to provide a system that is allowing them to spend less time looking for a porter and more time looking after Mrs. Jones. So there are a number of legacy ways of dealing with ED departments. We've got the tannoy. So I'm sure everybody remembers going into EDs or different outpatient departments and someone is asking for a porter, asking for Mrs. Smith. There's a lot of noise created, and it also has a number of data protection issues because you're announcing patient names and the like across the system. There are bleeps. The thing with bleeps is there isn't any feedback. You don't know whether or not there's any progress in that task. You don't know whether the porter's picked up the job. And there's no reporting options. So you are not taking that information and pulling it back into a centralised task management system where you can report on what's going on with the services. And the other option is you might have ward-based porters within ED. So you might have porters that are there within the ED department, and that's what they do all day. And no matter how busy that department is, you will have 5 porters sitting in that department all day, and they may not be doing anything else. And so what you want to do is you want to better utilise that resource. And when they're busy, when the ED department is busy, then there's delays. There's patient delays, patient movement delays, people not getting to X-ray, those sort of things are happening. Everybody agrees that we need to improve efficiency, and we want to understand the task demand within the department. So understanding that task demand allows you to properly resource the department. So once the department's completely resourced correctly, then you are going to find your patients are moving more rapidly through the hospital, and you are using less resources to make that happen. So the efficient way to do that is to install a modern task management system. ED staff may view this as time-consuming for them, and your goal is to make sure that that's not the case. So the first solution is to install tablets on the wall or on the desks in the department, and that allows users that allows your clinical team to walk up to a display. They can tap on the display, they can enter a job which within a couple of clicks, so you put in the patient's number, you can put in their destination or where they're coming from. That raises a task into the electronic task management system, and it's very quick and it's very efficient, and it allows all that information to be recorded, so subsequently you can come back to it and look at your resource allocation. Once that job's in the system, it then can be distributed out to the appropriate porters. It should be simple to use, fast and easy to access. One of the key benefits of it is that where we've installed computer-based web systems, the clinical staff often have difficulty accessing those systems because they've been used by other staff members, and there's only a limited number of space to put PCs within reception or within parts of the ED. So by putting a dedicated device up on the wall, that allows the users to walk up into their job and not have to wait for other users. It's also an opportunity for looking at pooling resources. So where this is used, you can take away pooled ED resources for you, instead of having ward-based portering for your ED. You pull them back into the ward, into the general pool, and this allows the ED to be better resourced in many ways, because you are giving the entire pool to the ED department, and you're able to prioritise ED work above all the other work. And on aggregate, what you'll find is that the ED department gets a better service where they're using that big pool of porters that are available across the entire site. So the next option is where you might have a situation where the department might not want to be interacting with technology. They still want to go and grab a porter. You can give the porters their own devices. Those devices allow the porter to enter their own work. It's exactly the same from the clinician's point of view. They're still going and grabbing a porter, but now you're getting a record of all of the work that they're undertaking, and you know where the porter is. They know how long it's there's a good record of what's happening, and all of that work can be recorded, so that you know, I might need another 3 porters at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning in ED, because they're always busy then. So another option is dedicated ED controller. So this is putting a supervisor within your ED department. It has a single point of contact, so the clinical team can come and find your supervisor, your portering supervisor, and the portering supervisor would then be in charge of making sure that that work was distributed amongst his colleagues. It's a more expensive option, but it is a starting point for getting the information, the task information into the system, so that the ED, so you know what's going on in the ED department, and then over a period of time you can start to introduce some of the other solutions in order to phase out having an on-site supervisor who's always there and always the primary point of contact within the ED. So in order to, as a bolt-on to your ED department, to your task management system within ED, you can also look at dashboards. So a dashboard is very useful in order to look at for the ED teams, to look at what's going on within the department. So you can see the flow of patients, you can see when someone's been picked up from imaging and been brought down or been returned, and it's a quick way of them getting a good idea about what's going on with patient movement. And it also reduces duplication, where you've got 3 people asking for the same patient to be moved. So the next thing we have is what we call auto allocation. So this is the automation of tasks. So when tasks come when a task is entered into the system, it is automatically allocated to the most appropriate staff member. This allows you to effectively operate the ED department with a minimum level of supervision. So the system works by by assigning rules to your different porters. So if a porter, for instance, is unable to move bloods, then they never get a job moving bloods. They'll only get moving patients or the like. And it's something that's highly customisable, and it works extremely well. So the next question is, how do we get buy-in from the departments? So we want to make sure that the work, getting tasks into the system is quick and easy. The solution is accessible, so that they're not waiting in order to get that work into the system. And they get feedback on progression. So the system should be showing them that you've got a porter on the way to pick up your patient, and they will be there in the next 5 minutes. So you don't have to run around looking for another porter in order to make that happen. The next thing to do is you want to be engaged with IT. The IT department are very important for making sure these systems work, especially where you're installing tablets on the wall, or you're looking at using devices, because without IT being on board, making sure that the infrastructure is there and in place and working, what will happen is you can typically end up with a poor reception for whatever system you're using. And it may not be the system's problem, it may be because of the underlying IT infrastructure. So always get the IT guys on board, because it will make everybody's life better in the long term. So, hands-on engagement. We find that the sites that have successfully installed ED, task management systems, are the sites where they have gotten a champion. So someone from the department, from the portering or cleaning department, they have gone out to, they are engaged with the clinical staff within ED, and they've understood what they want and what they can and can't do, and it is well worth investing the time doing it, because you will get much more buy-in from the clinical teams. And also listen to what they say, because ultimately they are the ones who are going to make this system work, and it should be working for them as well as for you. Once again, listen to what the clinical staff are trying to say to you, and help make sure that their experience is great, because ultimately, if they have a good experience with whatever system you're using, it will stick, and the whole hospital will benefit. One of the other things that we recommend is setting up a pilot as well. So you can set up a pilot scheme within the hospital, within a small part of the ED department. That pilot scheme can run in isolation, and as long as it's well supported, they will help sell the rest of the system to the rest of the ED department, because they will have had a good experience and they'll be happy with the outcomes. And we also want to demonstrate the improvement. So let the ED team know what the improvements have been, share any positive feedback, and celebrate the wins when the system is in running and everybody's getting good benefits. So these are some comments we've had from some of our users. So we've seen good improvements, and improvements in productivity and response time. That's important. You know, if you can show that a patient is being moved more quickly by implementing a system like this, then you'll always get a much better response from the users and from the hospital in general. Resource optimisation. Once again, this is about making sure you've got the right number of staff to complete the work, and not too many staff so that they're sitting around and not necessarily working in other parts of the hospital, potentially doing other things. So the outcomes of an ED implementation of a task management system is increased productivity, more work is captured, improved response times, and staffing is set to the right level for the right times of day and right days of the week. And you can improve your relationship between your ED departments and your facilities departments, because you're working much more closely together.